Hey there, and welcome back to painting the Asuras and finishing her off. So first up I'm going to be dealing with the blue-grey, which is going to be the colour of sort of her main, I don't know, leotard, the main get-up strip, what's currently dark blue. It's going to bring that up to blue-grey. I'm starting on this one because it's hardest to reach, which means if I make errors now, they're the ones which should affect me least later. I'm going to bring this up to blue-grey, which is the sort of the colour that's on her face, and then I'll probably put some final highlights on as well, just so that you can see the whole thing done. So I'll get that done, I'll be back in a moment. So here's the first tiers of blue-grey. I've used the model colour blue-grey because it's marginally thinner than the heavy opaque. It's also marginally lighter, which makes me somewhat foolish. I kind of wanted it to be a bit darker than this originally, but it's a little bit too late now. So she's going to have a sort of a pale grey body, and then I've added a little bit of white and I've done a first tier of highlights, so you should be able to see that some of the indentations are left. Also I've left the odd bit of sort of dark blue in the deep sort of crevices. Just to maintain the depth, and you can see the highlights are starting to be picked out, so that you start, and it's creating a sort of real sense of depth. That's the aim. So I'm going to crack on with highlighting this, and I'm going to keep on working the blue-grey up until it's virtually, well, a bit closer to white, and I will thin down, so each time I'll put a thinner highlight, so it's quite bulky at the moment, and each time I'm putting quite a heavy layer of paint on, and then, but from now on it's going to get thinner and thinner until you end up with final highlights. So I'll be back in a moment when the blue-grey is all done. There we have it then. This is going to be the final tier of highlighting for this bit. It's mostly because I don't want the grey to start heading towards white, because I want the face to be very, very kind of white, and I want that to be distinct and different from the clothing. But as you can see, the highlights have been brought up to a point where there's quite a lot of clean difference. The other thing I had been tempted to do is bring it up very light and use my favourite ink washes, but I don't really want to use ink washes because I fear that the ink will run into all of the lovely luminous inner glow stuff, and that'll get completely ruined. The one thing that will get done, but I'll do that at the same time I'm doing it on the armour and I'm doing the face, is I'll run a white highlight around all of the edges which are adjacent to luminescence, and I will finally drag the luminescence out over, but that will get done at the same time that I'm doing all of the plates. It might even be another video, I'm afraid, because time constraints and all. So this might just be highlighting, and then the next one will be like a final lighting effect one. It's just taking quite a lot of time to paint more than anything, and as ever, time constraints, they're rubbish. So next up I'm going to mix a bit of charcoal grey with the dregs of the now very pale blue grey, just darken it down a bit, change the tone quality a bit, and I shall run in all of my highlights around the edges of all of my dark plates and my weaponry. So I'll be back in a moment when I've got all of that done. Here we have it then. I've got all of my dark plates lit and highlighted along with the gun, and so I've used a bit of the charcoal, heavy charcoal grey mixed in with the dregs of the blue white, and created quite a dark grey, so I've done an edge on everything with a dark grey, and then I've finally just done spot highlights. So spot highlights, just where you go to all of the corners, the tips of the corners, and you just touch in with these white, like light dots. And that's using the light blue grey, which I mixed earlier for the legs, which I'm also going to use in just a mo as the first tier of lighting on the face. So this is not the final highlight on this, or it's the final highlight as such. There will also be a final lighting effect, which will not happen in this video, I'm afraid, because time is running away from me. But next up I'm going to work into the face, and so I'll work that up to white. I'll apply the dregs of this light blue grey to tone up the face, and then I'll use white to tone the face right up, and I'll run some white highlights through the hair as well. So I'll catch you in a moment with the highlight phase all done. Here we have it then. I've got the face and hair all done. So I've worked a bit more light blue grey into the face and then worked white into it. Just tried to clean it up and get as close into the eyes as possible, because I noticed last time when I was looking through the camera, I couldn't see it before, that especially on the left hand eye as you're looking at it, the paint didn't quite run in to frame the eye properly, so a bit of cheek was left as sort of luminous pink. The other thing I've done is I've just run all of the high points in the hair. I've just run white paint over just to pick everything out. So technically she's actually ready to go, and I'm not going to base her up at this point because I am going to do this lighting effect that I keep on going on about. So what I'm going to be doing with the lighting effect, and this will be next time, is I'm going to run white highlights around the edges of everything that's adjacent to the light. Then I'm going to reapply luminous or fluorescent paint, it's not quite luminous, over all of those edges. Now one of the key things is going to be to not just completely daub everything, so it's going to be a pretty slow process. So it'll be a short video probably, but it'll take an awful long time to do. So cool mini or not, you decide. I'm pretty happy with this. I feel like my painting's getting there. I am trying to get my painting up to like a competitive painting standard. I don't think I'm there yet. I think I'm on the borderlands, the hinterlands of competition quality painting. Always learning stuff. My painting skills are getting better for sure. And I will point out on this one, a lot of the time, especially for these teeny weeny little highlights, I've been using a 5-0 paintbrush. Because I've just been finding that my normal 000, which is about as small as I would normally go ordinarily, I try to avoid such teeny brushes. It's been a bit too big for the job. So I hope there's been some interest and use to you, and that you're painting everything you want up to a really awesome standard. Thank you for watching, have a good one, take care, bye bye.